Hi, welcome back to the Kinesiology and Personal Training playlist. My name is Kevin Tokoph. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel for future videos. That's very much appreciated. In this video, we're going to calculate how much water a person would need to intake per day under two conditions. Number one, if the person is sedentary, and then also if the person is exercising for a particular amount of time. Okay. The calculation for sedentary water intake that's required is pretty straightforward and simple. And in order to get the amount of water that you would have to intake if you were actively exercising, you actually have to do the first calculation for the sedentary volume first. Okay, and we're actually going to calculate this for two different individuals. One person's going to be 200 pounds, the other's 300. Okay, so the first step in doing any of these calculations is you need to calculate the water intake that a person would need to drink, assuming the person was not doing any exercise. And that's given by the sedentary volume, or V sub naught. Okay, you can also think of it as V sub 0. The 0 could basically mean zero exercise, zero physical activity, if that helps you remember what this means. And if the person's sedentary, we're just saying that they're basically sitting on their butt watching TV, or maybe they're just sleeping all day. Basically, they're not getting a lot of heavy physical activity. And this is a pretty easy calculation. All you're going to do is you're going to take the person's weight in pounds. Okay, so in one case it's going to be 200 pounds, and you just divide that number by 2. And the number that you get when you do that is basically the number of ounces of water that you would need to drink if you're just sedentary and there's no exercise. Okay, so that's a pretty straightforward calculation. The second one's a little more challenging, a little more math. What you would need to do then to calculate the amount of water you need to drink if you were actively exercising is you basically take this number, V sub 0, that you ultimately got from the first equation here, that's this right there, and you would need to add on to it a correction factor. Basically, you would look at the amount of time that you're exercising, could be 30 minutes, 60 minutes, whatever. You divide that by 30 and then multiply it by 12, and that gives you the total number of ounces of water you would need to drink if you were exercising. Okay? So, in other words, what we're going to look at in this video is both these people weigh different amounts of weight, but they're going to be exercising the same amount, 90 minutes, and I've just chosen these numbers to make the numbers work out nicely. Okay? Now, time of exercise, of course, we're basically neglecting the type of exercise that is. You could certainly argue the fact that power walking may ultimately be a different water loss than actively lifting weights in the heat or something like that. Okay. The other thing that this also neglects is the actual temperature in which you're exercising. So clearly there's going to be a difference if you were to, say, run 2 miles at some speed in 90-degree weather versus 60-degree weather. Okay, so there's different. So basically, we're neglecting that. But once we get a number for this volume, then we'll make other considerations. Okay, so let's actually do both of these calculations. I'll do the first one in green for the 200-pound person. So if I want to calculate, assuming the person was sedentary, the volume of water I would need to drink, I'm just going to take this 200 pounds, which is the person's weight, and just divide that by 2, and that means this person is going to need to drink, if they were sedentary, 100 ounces of water. Okay. Now, if I want to get what volume that person would need to drink if they were exercising, okay, then I'm simply going to take that V sub naught right here that I just calculated. That's going to be 100 ounces of water. And then I'm going to add on to it this correction factor. So the person is going to be exercising for 90 minutes. I'm going to divide that by 30 as shown in the formula above. And then I'm going to multiply that times 12 ounces. Okay. And that's going to give me some number. Let's calculate what that is. So I'm going to have 100 ounces of water right here. 90 divided by 30 is actually 3. This number, when you divide this, is 3. If you multiply that times 12, the number you're going to get is 36 ounces. So that means the 200-pound person would actually have to drink approximately 136 ounces of water. Okay? I'm sort of being a little bit lazy on the units, but I think you get the point. So in other words, this person of weight, 200 pounds, would have to drink 136 ounces of water. Okay? Let's actually redo the calculation and assume the person is, we're talking about a different person, that person's 300 pounds. So maybe this first person is, just maybe like an average person. The 300-pound person could be potentially somebody who's overweight, or they could be someone like an offensive lineman or something. Okay, so let's run this calculation. Okay, the sedentary volume of water I would need to drink, I'm going to take the weight, 300 pounds, and divide by 2. So that means the volume of water without any exercise is actually quite a bit more than it was for the sedentary volume for the person 1. It's actually 150 ounces of water. Okay, if I want to calculate the amount if they were exercising the same amount as the first person, I'll take this V sub naught, which I just calculated, 150 ounces, and I'm going to add on to that this correction term. The time of exercise is 90 minutes. I'm going to divide that by 30 and then multiply by 12 ounces. And that's going to give me some number. Let's see what that is. So once again, it's actually going to be exactly the same. 90 divided by 30 is 3, and when I multiply that times 12, I'm going to get 150 ounces of water, plus 3 times 12 is 36 ounces of water. When you add these two things together, it looks to me like that's going to be about 186 ounces of water. Okay, what is this basically showing? Well, if I look at the difference between these two, you can hopefully see that there's a 50-ounce difference between the water that a 300-pound person should drink versus the amount that a 200-pound person should drink. So what does this ultimately mean if we're going to put this sort of in the form of, I would say, a trend? Well, it means that as the weight, or we could also say mass of the person increases, then that also means the fluid or water intake is also going to increase. Not so much because of the exercise itself, although it does sort of influence that, although we neglect it in the equation shown above. But the main thing that affects it is the actual person's weight. And so that means that people who are heavier need to drink more water per day, even if they're not exercising. And lighter people need to drink less water. Okay? And this formula that I'm talking about up here, this is particular right here, the exercise volume, which is normally what you're using, in conjunction with the first one, this is ultimately called, at least in the realm of kinesiology, this is called the hydration equation. Okay, and basically the hydration equation just tells you that, assuming the person is sedentary or exercising, what volume of water they need to drink in ounces. Okay, so hopefully it makes sense. It's a straightforward calculation. Thanks for watching this video. Make sure to like it, subscribe to the channel for future videos. Thanks very much. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good day.